Hey, what's going on, Flix Talkers? Welcome back to another movie review, this time for Marvel Studios' Eternals. Now, this film is being written and directed by newcomer Chloé Zhao, who's more famously known for the award-winning Nomadland, which took the Academy Awards by storm, winning Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress in a Film. But now she's here to take on her next project, which is a Marvel film, and there is a slew of cast to kind of get into. So you guys sit tight. I'm gonna give you guys my spoiler-free review, but before we do, make sure you guys are hitting that big thumbs up if you guys do appreciate content like this. And if you guys want to be alerted about all future videos, and especially when I do go live, make sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification today. All right, now before I do get into my spoiler-free review for Eternals, let me tell you guys about my movie experience. So I did watch this in theaters, guys. Obviously, I am a Marvel fan, so I may have a little bias in this, though I will tell you right out the gate, I don't think every Marvel movie I've seen is a perfect film. So I go into it with a movie watcher brain, not a Marvel brain. And this one was no different, especially since we got the introduction of Phase 4 from Kevin Feige and the introduction to our Eternals and the cast. I don't think anyone really knew what to expect from these characters other than the backstory that they did kind of lay out in the comics, because once I did initially see this trailer, I didn't know who any of the villains were. I didn't know who any of our main characters were. I didn't know the conflict that was going on, though the comic nerds knew exactly what the hell was going on. And that being said, I'll let you know that I only knew what I saw from the trailer going into this movie. Didn't have any prior knowledge of the characters from the comics. So instead of breaking down the synopsis, if you guys don't know what this film is about at all, make sure to click the link down in the description. I'll put the full trailer. They'll give you a nice laid out cinematic explanation about what this film is in about 2 minutes. Okay, so my pros for Eternals is gonna be the opening scene. Wow. Once again, didn't know what I was getting myself into. We do flash back, I believe, 5,000 years, and we get to check out the dawning of civilization and how primitive life was back then. You want to talk about a simpler time? This was as simple as it gets. Hunters, gatherers, all the day-to-day task of staying alive pretty much, getting your food, seeking shelter, community. It's all being shown in this opening scene. And on the flip side of our coin, we get introduced to the Eternals. Really rush job, why they're sent to Earth, and we get an awesome introduction action scene, which I really did appreciate, once again, from characters that I had no clue about. Second pro, I thought it was an interesting backstory. Now, amongst critics that I've seen online, a lot of people were not engaged with the backstory of the Eternals. Now, I'll just throw out these buzzwords of the film. We get Celestials, we get Deviants. Once again, watch the trailer down below. They do give an explanation about what these characters are and how they are integral to the plot. I will just say this personally, guys. I do love intergalactic anything, not just superhero movies. I love aliens. I love ancient artifacts. I think that stuff is extremely fascinating. I think this galaxy is bigger than just us here on planet Earth. So anytime there is any talks or whims or anything of something of that nature, I'm really intrigued. And this movie did a good job of keeping my engagement, especially with the runtime of almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. I can honestly say I did not look at my watch once because I was engaged either with the story, with the characters, with the action sequences at hand. So once again, solid backstory. It really kept me engaged, and I thought it was pretty cool. Now jumping to a half-like, half-pro, is the majority of the cast was likable. And once again, I've only seen a couple of them. Obviously the staples like Salma Hayek, like Angelina Jolie, we know they're mega stars. But even some of the fresher faces, at least to me once again, like Gemma Chan, like a Richard Madden, they did their damn thing on screen, and I really enjoyed their performances through and through. Now, let's talk about the landscape, the cinematic vision of Chloé Zhao. Now, I think going from Nomadland to a Marvel film is probably the hardest thing you can do. Talking about running before you can even walk. I really did enjoy the world building that we got here. Obviously, it's set on Earth. That's no pun intended, the world that we're getting, but jumping back and forth between time periods, 5000 BC, 575 AD, present day. We just kept flashing forward, flashing back so many times, and it didn't become jarring. It was actually a really, really good laid out and edited movie. And along with the time jumps, our locations I thought were beautiful. I thought everything looked really stunning. The CGI to me was pretty much flawless. And I thought initially when I saw the trailers with the Deviants, I was like, oh my God, what the hell are they gonna do with this? It looks so bad. Then when I finally saw it on the big screen, it was a little more fluid. Yeah, it stood out. Obviously, these are characters and creatures that they're creating from CGI scratch, and at times there was scenes that looked very reminiscent to like a Jurassic World where you get some of your dinosaurs looking really, really out of place. But once again, it did not suck me out of the scene. So if watching movies strictly for the landscape and being amazed on camera is your thing, check out Eternals. Now, next up for my pros is the emotional conflict and dramatic scenes that we did get. I will be completely honest. Yeah, I'm a Pisces. I'm a very emotional guy, emotional creature. But there were more than 2 or 3 moments where it had me tearing up. Just for the simple fact that to me, this was more than a Marvel story. This was a human nature conflict story. There was so many parallels to what's going on or what's happened through history that made me tear up, especially with the character played by Tyree Henry, who plays Faustos. I think he's kind of gifted and cursed with an amazing power, an amazing ability. I thought he had a really, really good performance on screen. Yeah, he provides some of the comic relief along the way. It just adds to his character charm. But once again, when they show that human conflict, especially of his curse, so to speak, it made me tear up because once again, they're talking about historical moments in time. That hit me and I was just blown away by the execution in this film. And going back to my first pro of the opening scene are the amazing fight sequences. I liked it. I thought it was a good balance of exposition and character development. I thought the fight scenes were really, really good, especially the hand-to-hand combat from Angelina Jolie. Holy crap. She was swinging those weapons and shield like no other. I felt like she was an extra in Wonder Woman. Also along the way, who was kicking ass was a beefed up Kumail Nanjiani who played Kinjo. Now I know you guys saw those pictures that did surface about him getting really, really beefed up and jacked. And you don't get to see too much under the armor. You get to see the arms and that's pretty much it. I wonder if he kind of felt bad for working on the abs so much when they didn't show any of that on screen. Now jumping to a character I've never seen is Lia McHugh, who plays Sprite. Now she's the youngest of the Eternals out of the 10. And I thought she was a pretty likable character, even though she's younger. Obviously she has a different experience on life. And in that third act, I thought her reason for conflict was actually pretty convincing. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there's a reason why she's young and the rest of them are adults. Now, my guy, Ma Dong-seok, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, as Gilgamesh was awesome in this movie, I will say that. I loved him in Train to Busan. That's probably the first place that I did see him, and I think a lot of us saw him. He kicked ass, and I thought he had a pretty good story, especially when it came to the interaction with him and Angelina Jolie as the protector, almost a Hulk figure in this Eternals group, and I'm sure you guys could tell he was the muscle. All right, guys, now jumping to my cons of the movie, and this is just a con overall. It probably isn't a con for me personally, because I did enjoy this movie overall, but I think a con for most people going into this movie, it's not as Marvel-y as most of the Marvel movies. And when I say that, a lot of you might get upset, but even though I am a Marvel fanboy, they do follow a formulaic cookie cutter layout to become a financially blockbuster movie. And that's a reason why I like this movie. It broke the mold. It didn't fit what you're normally used to. So if you guys are used to most of the story arcs of a Marvel movie, this may not be it for you. Yeah, there are definitely parts that follow formulaic Marvel movies and just movies in general, but I believe Chloe really set out to do something a little different and off the cuff. And by the end of this movie, I believe that. Now, even though for the most part I had fun with these characters and I did think that they were likable, they had personality, there was a couple that didn't really do it for me. And yeah, they were fresh faces to me, but they just didn't pull on all the likability factor for me, so I had to throw them in the cons department. And I'm talking about you, Barry Keoghan as Druig. I thought he had a cool power. I just thought he was a pompous smartass. And that's the one thing that makes me jump directly to another con. If these are Eternals, if these are godlike creatures, in the introduction, it seems like they are almost Zen-like perfect beings. Yet, along the way of the movie, they get so ingrained with emotional human traits that you kind of lose that eternal factor. Now, I don't know the reason for that. Maybe it's because they've been on Earth for 7,000 years that they just start to develop these human-like traits. But I noticed it more frequently with Druig. And he was a character, I think he's a really good actor. That's the thing. I really do think he's a good actor, but his character was just very unlikable to me. But maybe that's the way they made it. Also, along with some of the unlikable characters, I thought some of the writing was just really shoehorned in there for comedic factor, especially some of the stuff with Kumail Nanjiani. Yeah, it was funny, but it was kind of unnecessary, especially when you think of the runtime of 2 hours and 40 minutes. Could have been left on the cutting room floor. And my last con, guys, but I think it's kind of an important one to talk about. I mean, we're still feeling the effects of the snap and Endgame. So to bring us an apocalyptic movie of this magnitude so early, I think was maybe too rushed for a Marvel Phase 4. I would have saved this for like a Phase 5 once we got our individuals like Shang-Chi, like Black Widow finally, like Spider-Man, like even after Doctor Strange. I could have definitely waited for this movie just in the fact that we are getting once again a post-apocalyptic event and it may be too much, too fast for most of us. So all that being said, I know this was a little long of a review, guys, but I was trying to condense all my feelings with this longer movie, with 10 characters that we had to focus on. And I thought they did a really good balance, once again, of talking about all of these characters. I really did enjoy the fight sequence and the conflict of the third act. I gotta give an overall score of 4 out of 5 for the Eternal, saying I'm probably definitely gonna watch this again and add it to my collection, as I'm sure in 4K it is beautiful. And once again, if they left a couple of little things on the cutting room floor, I would have been a little more happy. All right, Flix Talkers, have you seen Eternals, or are you gonna see it this weekend, or are you guys gonna wait for it to come on streamer? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did appreciate my review on Eternals, let me know by liking the video. It's the best way to support the channel, and it does spread these videos out to those that aren't subscribed. And if you yourself aren't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe and bell notification down below to always get alerted about future videos like this. All right, guys, till next one, I'm gone. Peace.